Hello there and welcome to Planet Juice. Today we're going to try and make our King Kenrith have the loveliest holiday ever.
How bothersome being king of the realm. I wish I could have a lovely holiday.
This deck's quite special to me. It's a thematic deck, less about stomping, more about allowing our king to have a lovely, relaxing holiday. The deck is filled with breathtaking destinations and our king's entourage. But under that well-pampered kingly skin, we have an enchantment and legendary tribal matter shrine deck. That's right, a shrine deck. So I should probably introduce our commander, Kenrith the Returned King. He costs 5 mana, he's a 5/5, and he has a bunch of awesome abilities, but the idea is not to play them. He's off work, he wants a vacation, so we're rarely going to play them. So the game plan for this deck is pretty simple. We're going to assemble as many of the shrines onto the field and make a huge value engine from our enchantments and legendary creatures by drawing cards whenever we play them and outvalue our opponents with prime shrine action. First we have the shrines. They're all legendary enchantments. The first group are the Hondens. They all have a funky trigger at the beginning of our upkeep that gets better with the more shrines that we control. Honden of Cleansing Fire gains us 2 life per shrine. Honden of Infinite Rage deals damage to a creature or player equal to the number of shrines. Honden of Life's Web creates a 1/1 colorless spirit per shrine. Honden of Night's Reach discards a card from target opponent per shrine. And Honden of Seeing Winds draws as a card per shrine. Then we have the Sanctums. Some of them trigger on the pre-combat main phase, and they are Sanctum of Calm Waters, which draws as a card per shrine and we discard 1. Sanctum of Fruitful Harvests adds X mana of 1 color to our pool for each shrine. Sanctum of Stone Fangs drains each opponent X life and we gain X life equal to our shrines. The next 2 are ability shrines. With Sanctum of Shattered Heights, we can pay 1, discard a land or shrine to deal X damage to a creature or planeswalker where X is shrines. And Sanctum of Tranquil Light can tap a creature for 5 and white, but it costs 1 less per shrine. They're all pretty sweet abilities if we've got a bunch of shrines out. But what if I was to tell you there was the perfect holiday destination, the ultimate shrine to rule them all, the Sanctum of All. This allows us to tutor for any shrine on our upkeep and put it straight onto the field. If we can grab a Sanctum, it'll trigger in the next phase. But the thing that makes this extra spicy, if we control 6 or more shrines, all our shrines will trigger an additional time. So we can make an army, we can draw our deck, discard everyone's hands, gain a buttload of life, drain everyone else's life totals, make tons of mana, and loads more. It's the ultimate vacation. To get this holiday into action, we've first got to visit our local travel agency. For land-based ramp, we have Cultivate, Farseek, and Harrow. These all search for lands and put them onto the battlefield tapped or untapped in the case of Harrow. For artifact ramp, we've got Sol Ring and Honor-Worn Shaku for colorless. All our shrines are legendary along with a third of the deck, so Honor-Worn Shaku can make a bunch of mana by repeatedly tapping shrines to untap the Shaku and make even more mana. Chromatic Lantern taps for any color and turns all of our lands into command towers, aka they all tap for any color. Our creature-based ramp includes Feyburrow Elder, who gives us mana for each color among permanents we control, sometimes tapping for up to 5 mana. Gigantha the Wellspring taps and gives us Wooburg, which we can only spend for colored mana. Karametra, God of Harvest, is an indestructible legendary enchantment creature who lets us search for a forest or a plains whenever we cast a creature. Golos the Tireless Pilgrim searches for any land and puts it straight into play tapped. Golos also has this crazy ability that can potentially play 3 things for Wooburg and 2 straight from the top of our deck. We're an enchantment deck, so here is some enchantment aura-based ramp. Fertile Ground adds an additional mana of any color when the land we enchant is tapped. Trace of Abundance does the same thing but gives the land Shroud as well. And Wild Growth gives an extra green. Finally, we've got Mana Reflection, which makes our permanents that tap for mana produce twice as much mana. Oh wait, what's that? Kethis the Hidden Hand? You've got a coupon for money off of a luxurious trip? This is the mana reducers. Kethis makes our legendary spells cost 1 less to cast, aka all of our shrines. He also allows us to exile 2 legendaries from the grave to play a legendary spell from the grave. Herald of the Pantheon and Starfield Mystic make our enchantment spells cost 1 less to cast, and Umori the Collector is a legendary creature that reduces the cost of a card type by our choice by 1. We're going to pick enchantments. So, does anyone know the way? Here we've got the tour guides or card draw. Reki, the History of Kamigawa, draws us a card whenever we play a legendary spell. Joyra, Weatherlight Captain, draws us a card whenever we cast a historic spell. Satyr Enchanter and Setter's Champion draw us cards whenever we cast or play an enchantment, and Tuvasa the Sunlit draws us a card for the first enchantment we cast each turn, and she also gets huge for each enchantment that we control. So these cards mean we play our deck normally, and because of that we draw a bunch of cards. They're great. Our holiday reps give us the scoop on some secret locations, aka the tutors. Idyllic Tutor tutors for an enchantment to our hand, and Plea for Guidance tutors for 2 enchantment cards. Bish bash bosh, does what it says. Zur the Enchanter is the party starter for this vacation. Whenever he attacks, he grabs an enchantment that costs 3 or less from our library and puts it straight onto the field, so we can hit multiple shrines or removal depending on what we need. Sisay Weatherlight Captain gets +1/+1 for each colour among other legendaries we control, and can find us any legendary permanent that costs equal to or less than her power for Wooburg. She puts it straight onto the battlefield for us. So this hits any of our shrines, it can hit some of our card draw things like Reki and Joyra, it can hit some of our reducers like Kethis. This card's pretty good. Galaxy's Destiny's Hand is more of a rummager, but I've put him in the tutor category because I don't know what else he fits into. We can look at the top 4 cards of our library and put an enchantment into our hand, or turn another enchantment we control into an Oblivion Ring, or his ultimate allows us to return all our enchantments straight from the grave back to the battlefield. These protection spells allow our king to not stress out. Osun the Falling Leaf is in charge of these, and he keeps our opponents from casting spells during our turn. Bramicon's Sky Rampart makes it so players can only attack left or right, so we pick the weakest board state and let that swing at us. Monastery Siege makes targeting us or our permanents cost 2 more. Propaganda and Ghostly Prison discourage our opponents from attacking us because they have to pay 2 mana per creature to even hit it. And Sphere of Safety is these 2 cards on steroids. Our opponents have to pay X, where X is equal to the number of enchantments we control per attacking creature, which is nearly, a third of the deck. Good luck paying that. We have some cards to make sure our king can relax without interruption. So this is the removal. To keep on thing, we have an aura package. Darksteel Mutation turns the target into a 0/1 indestructible Burg. Kenrith's Transformation turns them into an elk and draws us a card. Lignify turns them into a lovely scenic tree with Defender. And Reprobation turns the offender into a quivering coward. Swords to Plowshares exiles a creature and gives the owner life equal to the creature's power. Our enchantment and artifact removals include Seal of Primordium and Seal of Cleansing, which do exactly the same thing. We sacrifice it and we blow one of those up. We also run some board wipes. Divine Reckoning destroys all creatures on the board except for 1 for each player of their choice. Merciless Eviction exiles whatever we want from the board, be it artifacts, enchantments, creatures, etc. Urza's Ruinous Blast is our reset button. It exiles all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. So we should be able to get rid of most things and keep our shrines. I'm not sure of a name for this category, it's just general good stuff that works with the deck. Leyline of Anticipation lets us cast spells as though they had flash, so we can play our shrines the phase before they trigger for immediate benefit. Wrath Capuchin allows us to do the same thing but only for historic spells. Kamal's Druidic Vow is an X spell that lets us look at the top X cards of our library and put any number of lands and legendary permanents that cost X or less straight onto the battlefield and bin the rest. It's a bit risky, but the payoff can be massive. We also have Strionic Resonator, which can copy any of our shrine's triggered abilities for double the action for 2 mana. And lastly, Sigil of the Empty Throne can make us a 4/4 Flying Angel whenever we cast an enchantment. So it's not what the deck's based around, but I mean we're playing a bunch of enchantments. It can win us a game. Now on the off chance that our holiday does get ruined, fear not, because we've got a backup plan. Tamio, Collector of Tales, stops us discarding and sacrificing permanents. Her +1 lets us potentially get a card into hand and put the rest into the graveyard, and her -3 puts a card from the graveyard back to our hand. Eerie Ultimatum can bring back 1 of every permanent from the graveyard. It's nuts, everything goes to pot, we just bring it all back. Primeval's Glorious Rebirth returns all legendary permanents back from the grave too. Finally, we have the lands. There's nothing too out of the ordinary here. Command Tower taps for any colour, Exotic Orchard taps for any colour that a land an opponent control can produce, Terramorphic Expanse and Evolving Wilds can find us a basic land we need, and then we're playing a bunch of the 3 colour tap lands because I'm pretty cheap. And the rest of the lands are basics. So you may have noticed that the main focus of this deck isn't actually about playing Kenrith himself. He's mostly there to give us the colour and for the ultimate flavour of the deck. Although he still is relevant as an awesome card, so if we fail at our holiday strategy, the king can always hit the table, give himself a bunch of +1/+1 counters and haste, and angrily smack people for Ruinous Vacation. Okay, and that is that. One of my all-time favourite decks, Kenrith, being a little bit different to your usual Kenrith, more thematic as opposed to stomping everyone into the ground. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. Just please remember to stay fresh and juicy. Peace!